So, first episode.
Yeah.
Can you hear me at the back?
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So let's kind of introduce ourselves. Well, I'll ask you questions, you ask me questions.
Okay, I like this.
So we kind of that was your boob on the stand. Sorry, listeners. Andrea's boobs. They will be making many appearances in the show.
Probably will. They deserve their own show.
They should have their own. They probably do have their own show.
They do.
I think we've gone off topic already.
Bring it back.
Okay, so Andrea.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a place called Mount Vernon in New York, which is like, I want to say it's like 20-30 minutes outside of Manhattan, the big city.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Big Apple.
The Big Apple, which I didn't know it was called the Big Apple till I left. Yeah, I know. All those puns.
How did you not know that?
Because it never came up.
In your whole life?
Yeah, no. I mean, it was, well, we have like the city, which is Manhattan, and then you have like, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, but
the boroughs.
Yeah, the surrounding areas. But like, we didn't have, we never called it the Big Apple. We weren't like, hey, do you want to go down to the Apple? That would be
No,
good.
I can't imagine that would be a thing.
No. That was a tangent.
That's
nothing
right.
to do with life. That's where I grew up. Yeah.
So you grew up, and then...
I blossomed.
Where do
That's what we can say.
You blossomed. This is just the video. It's just you blossoming. So, what's your journey to like here been, like voice-wise, or like performance-wise and stuff?
It was quite long. So I did performance when I was a kid, in the Apple.
Let's not make that a thing. Sure.
And and then I went off to college, to university, and then I was like, no, I want to be a serious student. So I studied linguistics and English literature. And I did some theater in uni, but it wasn't anything official. It was just kind of like running around and doing shows and being in people's stuff. And then I left and I realized that I was like, well, I really want to be in theater, but I had no idea how to do that. So I kind of just went to New York and did every job possible that I was qualified to do in theater, which turned out to be quite an interesting experience for me. And I bumped into a voice coach, and I told her all the qualifications.
Bumped into a voice coach.
I literally bumped into her. And I think she was like pregnant too. It was probably not good, but like, I bumped into her, and she's like, "Let's have a chat about life and stuff." And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Give me direction." And she's like, "You used to be a voice coach," and I was like, "What's that?" And she was like,
"So you never heard of it?"
No. I knew I wanted to be an accent and dialect coach.
Okay, so you heard of accent and dialect.
I had heard of that because we did like a linguistic thing, and they're like, "Well, when you guys leave, there are jobs," and we're like, "What kind of jobs?" And they're like, "We don't know, but you could be an accent and dialect person." And I was like, "Cool, I'll do that one."
Great.
Yeah. I was like, I'll do that one. And then I had no idea how to do that. And so I bumped into this woman, and she was like, she's like, most people do like voice coaching and accent and dialect stuff at the same time. She was like, at the time, the Harvard University at the ART had a voice program that she had gone through. They do not anymore, I believe. And that was like the only one, I think, in the States that had like a voice program. And then there's one in Canada that recently shut down, I think.
Yeah, there was one, yeah.
So, like, that, and she was like, other than that, like, I don't know where you can go get a degree for it. She's like, you probably should get a degree if you want to be, like, legit. She's like, but you could just go out and do it. And I was like, I'm going to get a degree. But so I applied to the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. And then they were like, well, you're kind of young. So, like, go out and live your life. Which I did.
Sure.
And I went and got my degree. I got a certification in teaching English as a second language. I taught for a little while in Manhattan. I then got on a plane and taught in Korea for a year. And then Central was like, well, I think that's enough experience. Like, come and join us now. And I was like, sure. So I got on a plane and I hopped over to London.
Just hop
It was a hop, jump, and a skip. That's what my parents would say. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting journey.
So, when we met at Central...
We did.
My second time, talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
And one of the people that we had there was a wonderful man called Ilan Rachel.
Yeah.
And Ilan, amongst other things, is an Alexander teacher, and he's acting teacher and a movement person, and like he's just kind of
he's an entity in and of himself.
He's like an enigma wrapped in a mystery, wrapped in a little Israeli guy, and he's brilliant and genuinely really brilliant. And so he does this thing at the beginning of a class where he says, "Can you tell me how you feel right now in a sound and in a movement?" So of course movement's not great for the podcast, but it is available on YouTube and you can see hi people viewing. You can see what we're going to do. So we're going to start the interviews and stuff and the podcasts with a sound and a movement that express how you feel right in this minute, right in this moment. So Andrea.
Yes.
How do you feel right now in a sound and a movement?
Okay. That's it. I was going for something really sophisticated. I wanted to do some snapping and hand clapping at the same time, but
you're going to do the cop song.
Yeah, I was.
You're going to be like anecdotal about it.
But I got too excited.
That's good. So you're excited. That's good. I like it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. That's it.
Fine.
Oh gosh, sorry. All my stuff is flying off. Anyway.
Okay, so that's yours.
So that's mine. So Leon.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked a bit about me. But tell me about you. So where did you grow up?
I was born and grew up in London.
Oh.
What
part? Well, because I wasn't born in the same place that I grew up in, so that's quite fortunate for you.
We're sitting here in my little studio, which is just off Brick Lane.
Right.
Which is kind of home turf for me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I was born at Barts, so St Bartholomew's Hospital, which is within the sound of the Bow Bells, or at least it was. The bells don't strike anymore, which is the definition of a Cockney. So technically, I know, right?
What?
Technically, I'm a Cockney because I was born in the East End.
Oh wait, that's the only definition of a Cockney.
As far as I know.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a podcast about it in the future.
Hint.
So yeah, I was born in the East End of London, and then I grew up London, Essex border, northeast London, and yeah, so I've kind of lived and worked and studied and been in London my whole life. I've been to lots of other places, but I've never lived anywhere else.
So you've only lived here?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I think it's kind of
really
lame.
Cool. No, it's really cool because I've never. Well, anyway, it's not about me; it's about you. So talk to us about your journey into becoming what? Well, what are you? How would you define? Wow.
That's so
offensive. I shouldn't say that.
So harsh.
How would you define yourself in terms of your career? If people ask you what you do, what do you say that you do?
It depends who I'm talking to.
That's true.
That's the truth of the matter. So I have trained at Central twice. So I trained at Central from 2003 to 2006 on the acting degree. So
is this your a BA acting or
BA honours acting?
Honours acting. We don't have that in America.
I mean, what even is that? I didn't write a dissertation. So
you didn't?
No, it's a whole other episode. It's not even an episode.
To know that.
It's just anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So yeah, so I had this degree, and as I was leaving drama school, I was having a conversation with some pretty key casting directors who were like, "You're a pretty good actor, but you've got no hair, but you're kind of young looking, and we're not really sure what to do with you." I was like, okay. And then they said, well, you'll probably work more as an actor when you're about 35 or 40.
How old were you at the time?
I was 23.
Wow.
And a half.
Cute.
I still do half ages.
So cute.
So I was 23, nearly 24.
That would have broken me.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell do I do for at least 12, 15 years? What do I do? That's crazy. 16 years.
Everything.
Yeah. And my voice teacher at drama school, Claudette Williams, took me to one side and said, don't worry about it, come and teach sonnets tomorrow. And I was like, ugh, I don't really want to do that. She was like, just come and do it. So I went the next day and I taught a first year class. When I was third year, I taught the first year's sonnets.
Really?
the next day. And
did you get paid for it?
I think Claude might have bought me a coffee.
Oh, well, okay.
Which is fine. And yeah, so I taught this class. Some of the people in that class have gone on to really wonderful things. I haven't. But
yes, you have. You're here with me.
I
doing
am.
This
This is
is
true.
amazing.
This is true. I mean, yeah. So I did that, and then she said to me, like, where did you get those exercises from? And I was like, from you. She said, no, you got this exercise and that exercise, and then you've sort of mushed them together and created something of your own doing. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, yeah, thanks for that. Awkward. Anyway, so I was like, well, what do you want me to, what should I do? She was like, go and teach voice. You understand it. You get it. Go and do it. And then, so I said, well, should I go and do the MA voice studies? And I had a chat with Joe Winley, who ran voice studies back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in 2006. And he was like, no. He basically said what you were told. Like,
Yeah.
no, go out, go and do stuff, go and fail, go and do stuff, and then when it's like the only thing that you can think about doing, then go and do that. And 10 years later, I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to get an MA. So yeah, I applied to Central and came to the MFA. Voice Studies, Master of Fine Arts.
Fine art.
I mean, how fine is it?
That's
it's a
debatable.
fine. Between a masters and not. So yeah, I think so. I went and did that, and I met you, and I met our lovely cohort, and lots of wonderful people. So yeah, it depends on who I'm talking to as to what I describe myself as.
Yeah.
So in the last 15 years, I've directed, produced, written, performed, done voiceovers, taught voice, taught singing, all sorts of stuff. So it depends.
Yeah, on like who's asking.
Yeah, and sometimes I just want to give the short answer, which obviously I didn't give right now. Yeah. But like...
I always give a short answer, then people just stare at me. And then they go, well, what does that mean? And then we have to
yeah, if you say to someone, I'm a voice coach, they go, voice as in... And they always do this.
Yeah. They
always do the hand from the mouth. Voice as in...
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that comes out of your mouth. I don't know.
No, you should just go, no, voice as in...
voice as in...
I forgot to ask you your thing. Oh God, I'm terrible.
No, it's not forgetting at all. We've only just got to that.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
So what's my...
What would you, how are you feeling in a movement and a sound, Leon? I like that. I like that there was a build up to it too. Like you could feel it coming and it was like... and then there was the...
Like so much of my life. Stop it. Phil. You can't say that.
This just got explicit really quickly.
I'm gonna have to tick that box in the podcast. Is it explicit? No.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that we ever thought it wouldn't be explicit. Like.
I mean, we've kept it pretty clean so far.
Yeah, except for that. Right. What was there was another
so like the point of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So the point of we're voice coaches.
Yeah. We're
voice studiers. That's a word. I don't know.
We're students of voice.
There we go. That's the word.
And teachers of voice.
I mean, I'm not good with language necessarily. That's not strictly true.
But that's why I'm here.
But sometimes word order. So like.
Syntax is hard.
Syntax is hard. So we're talking about voice generally, but not in a kind of. Oh, this sounds really stupid, but like in a voicey way. We're talking about it in terms of like. How it is to communicate with other people, whether it's from a linguistic perspective, which you have so much more insight than I will ever have, but like whether it's from an acting perspective and performance and being able to communicate in business or however, whatever it is, and whether that's us talking to people who practice a particular methodology or a particular approach or a particular whatever, or even if it's like stylistic, I guess, like. There'll be loads of stuff and because we talk amongst the community, but there's no kind of absurdly, there's no verbal podcasty kind of thing about the subject of voice, which I was a little bit shocked that didn't exist.
Yeah, because there's like subcategories of it. There are like people who do like accent stuff, and people who do like language stuff, and people who do like theater stuff. But there's no kind of place where we talk about voice.
Yeah.
Like just voice.
Just voice.
Yeah. And what we do with it as both students and teachers.
And voice users.
True.
Which is a weird phrase. Like whenever we say the words voice users,
Everyone is a voice user.
everyone's a voice user, and then
Yeah.
people are
Unless
like,
you're
"Am
mute."
I a voice user?" And then you're like, "Yeah, yeah. You just said stuff, so yeah."
Imagine if there was like a secret like handshake for the voice users.
I mean, I think we should get onto Masonic handshakes maybe at some other point. I mean, I literally know nothing about it, but we could maybe investigate that. I mean, we're not investigative journalists. We're just voice coaches.
But we did a dissertation. We can do anything.
We can research.
We can do
We
anything.
can research.
I can do anything.
So yeah, so we're really keen to, on
Yeah.
that note about what you were saying before, really keen to collaborate with people, really keen to like talk to other podcasters, other voice users, people who use their voice for business, people who use their voice for fun, voiceover artists, anyone really, teachers, lecturers.
Students, if you're having issues, I guess. Yeah, it's open to everyone because everyone uses their voice in some capacity, some way, shape, or form, and that's what we're here to discuss.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it. Quite simple.
So you can find us on Instagram,
Yes,
on Twitter,
yes,
on Facebook,
yes.
and I mean Andrea's going to do Snapchat
I'm setting
as
up
well.
Snapchat.
Because
I'm setting up Snapchat. I'm doing it.
why not?
I'm doing
and
it.
YouTube. You can see us on
You
YouTube.
can watch us on YouTube if you miss our faces.
And I'm finding it really weird not looking at the camera.
I don't know if we're supposed to or
I don't know
not.
if we're supposed to or not, but hi YouTube
It's
people.
gonna look weird.
And this is obviously the microphone in the middle, but the podcasters are like, what? The podcast listeners are like, what are you talking about?
Oh
So-
yeah, so you gotta watch the video because I think.
I mean,
we're
you
just,
don't
like,
have to,
walking
but
around.
like, I feel like the videos. I don't know.
Watch the video.
We'll see. So yeah, contact us on
So we got an email, we
social
got Twitter,
media.
we got Instagram, we got Facebook, and Snapchat.
and you're gonna do a Snapchat.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Sure.
Yeah.
All of the links and everything will be in show notes, or they will be. So if you scroll down on your podcast app thing and just scroll down, it will have information on there. You can click on that. Hopefully, it will send you to the right place. I don't really know. I haven't worked it out yet, but we'll do it. Same thing on YouTube. You can just get in touch with us. Let us know if there's something about voice that you've always wanted asked or answered. If there's something that frustrates you, if there's something that you kind of have looked for an answer for, but you don't know where to find it. We're not saying that we've got all the answers. All we're saying is we'll speak to someone who, or at least we'll speak to some people who might be able to answer that question.
Or who think about it in great detail.
Yeah.
More than we do on a daily
Or maybe
basis.
have written a book about it. Or a really important research paper or something, we don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of, we want to create a kind of community and a kind of, I don't know, like a resource, I guess.
A fun, safe resource.
A fun, safe resource.
Yeah.
Safe?
Yeah, because we talk about safety a lot.
I mean, sure, voice health, absolutely.
So, but yeah, fun,
So, yeah.
fun, safe, informative space. Platform. There you
Platform.
go.
Look at
I'm
you.
throwing out words.
You are
This is what I
remembering
do.
stuff about things that we've talked about
Yes.
in production meetings.
Yes.
So good. So,
That's how you know it's working.
yeah, I mean, how do we end the podcast?
Thanks for listening / watching.
Oh, realization.
Oh yeah.
Let's do. So this is the thing, right? So we're going to start podcasts with how do you feel in a word and a movement, and it's a crazy,
Yeah.
voicey, stupid thing, and it doesn't really matter, but it's lovely.
It's fun.
We enjoy it.
It's fun.
And then the end is going to be in tribute to another Central person who's a stalwart of Central, who is Claudette Williams, the fabulous, wonderful Claudette Williams. I salute you, hats off. That at the end of a session, she talks about realization. And so what have you realized? So Andrea, in the course of our 20-minute conversation
Yeah.
for this initial podcast of introduction and ridiculousness,
Fun.
what have you realized?
That there's so much about voice, and it's hard to encompass in just one simple little sentence.
Okay. I mean, that's
the
kind of
one.
profound in a not very profound way. But sure.
In an observative way.
Observative.
That's a word.
I mean,
isn't it?
I don't know. We're making up language as we go along. But this is the joy.
That feels like a word to me.
We're just making
Observative.
stuff up.
What did you realize then?
I
Tell me your
realised
realization.
that there's like so much to voice that we don't really know, and like to try and encompass it in like a 20-minute chat is ridiculous, which we're not doing because it's going to be loads of stuff.
See, you can't rag on me for having a very profound observation and then have the exact same observation as your realization.
But it wasn't. No, that was just my beginning.
Sorry. Okay.
I was going to ramble for
Go ahead.
another 15 minutes. No, I wasn't ready. But no, I think that. Yeah, I've only ever lived in one city, and you've lived in at least 3. So
4, yeah, if you're counting.
4?
If you're counting uni, yeah.
Oh God, you're Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I've never left my own hometown. And Andrea is this well-travelled person. I mean, I'm quite
Is that
well-travelled.
your realization? Is that what you realize? Well, I think traveling.
I mean, there's nothing. Go on.
Traveling is very different from living. I will say that. I'm a terrible traveler, but I'm really good at living in other places, if that makes any sense.
It does. I don't know. I've never lived somewhere else for long enough. I mean, I've lived in Spain for 2 weeks, sure.
I would love to live in Spain for like any number of days. But anyway, was that your realization?
I'm just gonna stick with that for now. I'll get more
That
profound
you're
as we
not-
go along.
that you're not
I mean, like,
well
the thing
traveled.
about it is, it's really nice.
It's deep. It's cool.
Stop.
Okay. All right. So that's it. That's that. How do we have a button? We don't have a button, do we?
We're not having a button.
We're
We're
not
just gonna
having a
say,
button.
see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, love you, bye.
Bye.